Let us now create a simple app named Speak. This app will have a text box where the user can enter some text. When the Speak button is clicked, the app will speak out the text that the user has entered. Let us see a demo of this application.
Hooray, my first Android app.
So with this exercise, we'll be learning to add the necessary components to the app UI, building the program logic using the blocks editor, and to use text-to-speech component. To begin with this project, go to My Projects and click on Start New Project. We will be asked to give the name of the project. Let us give the name of the project as Speak. Click on OK. A brand new application with a blank screen is provided to us. Now we have to add the components to the app UI from the palette. For this application, we'll need a text box where we can write the text, a button after clicking which the text will be read out loud, and a text-to-speech converter component which is going to convert our written text into speech. Let us find these three components from the palette and add it to the viewer space. The button is found on the user interface drawer. Similarly, even the text box is found on the user interface drawer. Let us drag and drop both to the viewer. We can find the text-to-speech component from the media drawer. So let us go to media. Here is our text-to-speech component. Drag and drop it to the viewer space. Did you notice one thing? When I dragged the button and the text box, it was added to the screen, whereas text-to-speech component was not. This is because there are two types of components, visible components and non-visible components. Button, text box are examples of visible components, which when dragged onto the screen will be visible on the screen. And then there are non-visible components. These are usually used to perform some tasks in the background and are not necessarily seen on the screen. Now that we have all the components on our screen, let us customize the screen by changing some properties. For example, I can change the width of the text box to span to the entire width of the screen. I can change the text on the button. I can change the title of the screen to something else. In the introductory video, we have already learned that the way to do this is using the properties pane. So select the component whose property you want to change. First, let us change the title of the screen to something else. Select the screen component. These are the list of properties that the screen is going to have. Search for the title property. By default, the title is Screen 1. Let us change it to Speak. You can notice that the title of the screen has been changed. Now let us click on the text box. You can either select the text box here or you can click the text box from the components drawer. Select the text box and then let us change the width of the text box to fill the entire width of the screen. This is the default size. If I say fill parent, it will automatically fit itself to the entire width of the screen. Similarly, you can also specify the width in terms of pixels or in terms of percentage. Right now we'll stick to fill parent. Now for the button, I would like to change the text of the button. Select the text property. By default it is text for button. Let me write it as Speak Now. The name of the button has been changed. For the text box, let us add one more component. Let us add a hint to the text box. It will give a hint to the user as to what has to be written inside the text box. Let us say, type something here. The hint is not visible right now, but when you're executing the program, it will be clearly visible on the screen. All the components have been added. We have customized the screen. Now let us go ahead and write the program logic. To do this, we need to move from the designer view to the blocks view. Click on the blocks button on the top to go to the blocks editor. We want our app to read out the text that is written into the text box when the Speak Now button is clicked. Therefore, we need some component specific blocks. If you remember, the blocks editor consists of a set of general blocks plus program specific blocks. So here in our screen we have a text box, a button and a text to speech component. Select the button from the component drawer. You can see a list of things that you can do with the button component. They are all color coded. The brown blocks represent the different actions that we can perform on the button. For example, button can be clicked, button can get focus. When you move the cursor, mouse cursor over the button, it gets highlighted. This is when it gets the focus. You can perform long click on the button, etc. These blocks help us to write the logic for what should happen when the button is clicked or when the button is long clicked. Then there are a set of blocks that are green in color. These are usually used to set or get the properties of the button. If I want to change the width of the button, if I want to change the height of the button, I can do that using these green colored blocks. Right now the action that I am interested in is the button click. To use the click button, drag it onto the editor window. Now I need to drag and attach the blocks that will cause the app to read out the text. This behavior is likely to be in the text to speech component. So let's go ahead and click the text to speech component. In the text to speech component, there is an action block called the speak, which speaks the given message. Select this component, drag and drop it into the groove in the button click method. You should hear a clicking sound as the two blocks snap together. Note that only compatible blocks will snap together in this way. If the two blocks don't snap together, that means there is some fault in your program logic. So this is the application logic that we have written so far. When the button is clicked, call the text to speech component to speak some message. But we still need to feed the message which has to be read out loud. We can find this information from the text box component. So go to text box. Here we have textbox1.text property. This property will return whatever text has been input into the text box. I drag this and plug it into the message of the speak function. So this is what will happen. The user will enter some text into the text box. When the speak button is clicked, the app will speak out the text that the user has entered. If you're wondering what text box 1 is, it is the name of our text box. If you go to the designer view, every component that we have added has been given a name. Text box 1, button 1, text to speech 1. For example, if I add another text box, it will be given the name text box 2. If I want to get the text of the second text box, I say text box 2.text. I'll just delete it because I don't need it in my application right now. Once you're done with building your application, it's time to test the app. There are 3 options available for us to run the application. If you go to the Connect menu option, there are 3 options. The first option is to download the AI Companion app from Google App Store. This is the recommended method of installing your application on your phone. Use this app to install the newly created app on your phone. The second method is to use the emulator. If you do not have your Android device with you, you can make use of an emulator to see how the application works. The third option is to make use of the USB connectivity to install the application on your phone. So right now, let us take a look at AI Companion app to deploy our application. So I'll select AI Companion. This will build our application and it will generate a QR code which can be scanned from my mobile phone using the AI Companion app.
Hey there. I'm using SpeakUp.
Congratulations, you have just built your first Android application with zero programming. You can now test your app on your device.